Ranking Member Garcia asked President Clinton, quote, should President Trump be called to answer questions from this committee? And President Clinton said, that's for you to decide. And the president went on to say that the president, Trump, has never said anything to me to make me think he was involved, and he meant with Epstein. Well, our deposition of former President Clinton has concluded. I want to thank everyone for braving the cold and staying out here. I know it's been a very long day. We believe this was a very productive deposition. I will have to say that President Clinton answered every question, or attempted to answer every question. We can talk about some of his answers in more detail, and I'm sure once the video is released and the transcript's released, not only will you, but a lot of people in America will have more questions about some of the answers that were given and where we go from here. But with respect to today, this was a long process, and I want to say this was historical. I believe that in the history of Congress, the two highest ranked officials to ever be deposed by Congress would be President Bill Clinton and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. This is a serious investigation. We will continue to try to get the truth to the American people and justice for the victims. But I think a consistent theme continues to persist throughout all the people that we bring in. Obviously, the government failed the victims. There was justice was not served in Palm Beach when Epstein was first arrested. We're very concerned about that. We still have lots of questions about how Epstein accumulated so much wealth, and we will continue to bring some more people in and try to get answers.
Yes, I want to thank President Clinton for being here today. He was here for a very long day. He did attempt to respond to every single question asked, even when his attorneys told him to shut up. He kept, going. I think there's agreement too on everybody who was here on both sides of the aisle that we want to get to the bottom of this, whether Jeffrey Epstein was an intel asset or honeypot operation, sex trafficker, prostitution ringleader, financier of Ponzi schemes, financial crimes, etc. There is an effort, I believe, and a belief that we need to get to the bottom of this because justice was not served in the Southern District of New York. It was not served in Palm Beach, and it certainly hasn't been served for many victims around the world who are victims of this operation.
Depositions like this are important because we need to get answers. We need justice for the victims. Epstein and his associates committed unspeakable evil, and I'm glad that President Clinton and Hillary came out here. What I believe I saw the last 2 days was selective memory. Very good details back into the 90s, and in other times, I don't know, I don't recall. So we have more questions to answer. Thank you.
We're going to bring more people in. We're not finished. We didn't want to announce names before today. It was so hard to get the Clintons in. I didn't want to do anything to jeopardize losing them. I think we learned some things. We were hoping to get more, but there were many questions, as you will see, hopefully in the next 24 hours when the videos were released. The reason Ms. Clinton complained about being asked the same question over and over is because we presented different emails, different documents that would suggest that she was close with Epstein and Maxwell, and obviously she denied that. Now we're going to go back and verify that to see if any type of perjury was committed.
President Clinton, in his opening, made the most important statement: no one is above the law. And he made it clear that it was perfectly appropriate for the committee to call him and ask him tough questions about what happened. He also made it clear that it was totally inappropriate for this committee to call Secretary Clinton. That's why personally I didn't even show up yesterday. I thought it was outrageous the way they treated Secretary Clinton. She has nothing to do with this. But President Clinton answered the questions. I think you'll see when we have the deposition that our side put the survivors first. We had our members, our lawyers ask questions to get the basic facts and asked difficult questions, and the president answered. And it was civil, and he set the tone, in my view, for the precedent that President Trump needs to now come and answer these questions, that Howard Lutnick needs to answer these questions, that other people part of the Epstein class who've been in these files need to come before this committee and ask these questions. And then that's the only way we're going to have accountability and healing. Now I'll turn it over to our ranking member.
There was, I think that the President Clinton, did bring up some additional information about some discussions with President Trump. I think that the way Chairman Comer described it, I don't think is a complete accurate description of what actually was said. So let's release the full transcript so that you can get a full record of what actually was said, which brings up some very important new questions about comments that President Trump has actually said in the past. Any other questions?
Congressman.
Yes.
I know in the former president's statement, he says that there may be times where he says he can't recall. Has that, I know you can't really give a lot of details about what was said in the deposition, but how would you characterize when you say he's been cooperative? Is he answering the majority of questions, or a lot of his responses more I can't recall?
I think everybody would agree that he's been very cooperative, and he's actually answering the questions fairly. I mean, to the best of his ability. He has not taken a pass on pleading the fifth for any questions. He's been very thorough. He's been asked some questions multiple times over. I think you'll see that in the transcript. So he's been very cooperative, and in fact, I don't think he's given any sense that he's been uncomfortable to be there. In fact, I think he's been pretty interested in answering, I think, all the questions of both the Republicans and the Democrats.
Times of India videos, your daily dose of India and the world. Global news, different views, and sharp analysis.
Pressure of expectation from your fans, your supporters.
That has often served as a backdrop for several Bollywood.
You're not a brute majority anymore. If you individually take out playwright.
Making sense of global conflicts. Tracking the new emerging world order.
Strike on Israeli military bases.
A multi-pronged.
To stay out of harm's way as Israel started bombing targets across.
Understanding changing alliances in a polarized world. Tune into TOI videos for all this and more. Click on the bell icon to subscribe and never miss an update.